The Shadow in the Mirror, a ghost story. The house sat brooding at the edge of the woods, its sagging roof and broken chimneys silhouetted against the cold October sky. The paint had long since faded to the color of old bone, and the windows, dark and smeared, resembled blind, watching eyes. A narrow, weed-choked driveway led up to the stoop, where the wind endlessly rattled a loose shutter. Most who passed by crossed themselves or quickened their step. But for Lily Thompson, 15 years old and filled with the restless ache of adolescence, it represented a fresh start. Her parents, worn thin by city life and mounting debts, had snatched up the crumbling estate for a low price that seemed miraculous or suspicious, depending on who you asked. But Lily, craving anything different, had embraced the idea of an old house in the country with a quiet desperation. They moved in on a sullen afternoon, the sky swollen with low, bruised clouds. The air was damp and smelled of wet leaves and wood smoke. As the moving truck bumped along the uneven path, Lily pressed her forehead to the window, feeling a thrill of unease she dared not name. The house inside was worse and better than she imagined. The ceilings sagged and the wallpaper peeled like old scabs from the walls. The floorboards groaned underfoot and the pipes clanged and coughed with the effort of modern plumbing forced upon ancient veins. Yet there was something else too, a strange, almost tangible thickness to the air, as if the house exhaled around them. Her bedroom was at the far end of the upstairs hall, tucked beneath the sloping roof. It was small, draughty, and smelled faintly of mothballs and dust. But there was one thing that caught her attention immediately: the mirror. It was massive, framed in heavy gold that had tarnished into greenish veins. Vines and roses wound through the design, half eroded by time, their details ghostly in the dim light. The glass itself was rippled slightly, as if water trapped beneath skin, and when Lily looked into it, her reflection seemed just a heartbeat out of sync with reality. At first, she thought it charming, part of the house's old-world character. But that night, lying awake and listening to the house murmur around her, she felt the mirror watching her. The dreams began on the third night. She found herself walking through the house, but it was not the house as it was now. The wallpaper was bright, the chandeliers sparkled, music drifted down from somewhere unseen. Laughter echoed through the hallways. High, brittle laughter that made the hair on the back of her neck stand up. She always ended up in her room, standing before the mirror. And there, behind her reflection, someone else stood. A girl who looked like Lily, but wasn't. Her face was a touch too sharp, her smile too wide, her eyes glinting with a fevered light. When Lily woke, gasping in the pre-dawn dark, the mirror seemed to hum faintly, a vibration she could feel deep in her bones. Days passed. She caught fleeting glimpses, a flash of movement in the corner of her eye, a figure darting just behind her reflection. She told herself it was imagination. Old glass played tricks, shadows shifted strangely in old houses, yet unease gnawed at her. She stopped brushing her hair in front of the mirror. She averted her gaze as she dressed, but the dreams continued, each one more vivid, more insistent. And always, the girl behind the glass crept closer. Her mother noticed the change. "You look tired, honey," she said one morning, laying a hand against Lily's clammy forehead. "I'm fine," Lily muttered, pulling away. How could she explain that the mirror was wrong? That it showed her a version of herself that moved independently, that whispered in her own voice when she tried to sleep? She couldn't. One evening, after dinner, Lily returned to her room and froze in the doorway. The mirror, covered hastily with a blanket that afternoon, now stood exposed. The blanket was crumpled on the floor, and across the glass stretched a handprint, smeared and bloody, as if something inside had pressed against the surface with desperate strength. Lily backed away, heart hammering, mouth dry. She tried to tell her parents. They blamed it on stress, dreams, puberty. But Lily knew better. The mirror was not just showing her a reflection. It was reaching for her. Desperation drove her to research. She scoured dusty corners of the town library, paging through brittle old newspapers, yellowed town records. She pieced together a terrible history. The house had changed hands many times. Families fled it after deaths. Strange accidents, unexplained illnesses, disappearances. One story chilled her blood. A girl, not much older than herself, found dead in that very room decades earlier, sitting before the mirror, eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a silent scream. Whispers spoke of a cursed mirror, a looking glass that did not reflect, but trapped. Reflections twisted into shadows, shadows into monsters. Lily knew what she had to do. She waited until the house slept, gathered a hammer and heavy cloth, and crept into her room. The mirror loomed in the gloom, the faintest outline of a grinning face already visible within the glass. Hands trembling, she lifted the hammer. The girl in the mirror moved first. She pressed her palms against the glass, mouth opening in a silent, triumphant scream. The surface of the mirror began to ripple and bulge outward, as if the figure would crawl through at any moment. With a cry torn from the deepest pit of her soul, Lily swung the hammer. The mirror exploded with a shriek, not of breaking glass, but something darker, deeper, something alive. Shards rained down, catching the moonlight and winking like malevolent stars. The house seemed to exhale, a long, shuddering breath of something ancient being released. And then silence. Real silence. They moved out within days. The house stood empty again, its windows blind, its driveway slowly being reclaimed by wild grass. No one spoke of what happened. No one wanted to know. Lily sometimes dreamed of mirrors, endless corridors of glass stretching into darkness, reflections that beckoned and smiled with hollow, hungry eyes. But she woke safe, whole herself, most nights, far away in the ruined bedroom, beneath a pile of rotting beams and peeling wallpaper. A single shard of glass still gleamed faintly in the dust, because some doors, once opened, are never truly closed.
In the corner of my room it waits, golden vines, old and grey with hate, a whispered breath against the glass. A shadow moves when I turn my back. Dreams that twist, laughter cold, eyes that know what can't be told. A ghost, a twin, a broken face, calling me into its place. There's a shadow in the mirror, smiling wide with hollow eyes. It's reaching out, it's pulling nearer, whispering my name in lies. Run, but it sees you clearer, trapped between the glass and sky. There's a shadow in the mirror, and tonight one of us will die. The old house sighs with every breath, carrying tales of love and death. A handprint smeared in crimson red, a silent scream the mirror fed. Dusty halls and whispered dread, the faces of the long since dead. A voice inside that sounds like mine of love and death. A handprint smeared in crimson red. A silent scream the mirror fed. Dusty halls and whispered dread. The faces of the